The method we're gonna see now is to find one of the game objects in the hierarchy through its name. If we don't know the name of the object we want to find, this method of course is not gonna work for us. I will leave this variable as public so it appears in the inspector. Here as we see it has nothing assigned. When we enter the play mode, we are gonna find the reference of this object using a programming instruction, and if we succeed, we will see the object reference appear in this variable, and also the name of the game object will be printed in the console. We will use this function, FIND. It belongs to the GameObject class. So here we write the class name, GameObject, the dot operator, and then we call the function. This little window gives us some information about what this function does, the type of object it returns, and what parameters are required. It's really useful to be able to understand this window because this list suggests different functions and shows you what they do. So this first part is the result of the execution of this instruction. This function will return a GameObject only if there is a GameObject with that name in the hierarchy. Otherwise it will return null as result. Then this is the name of the function and between parentheses the parameters. For this function, for example, we have to send a string variable as parameter. That string has to contain the name to search for the object. And finally this is a brief description of what this method does. It says that it finds a GameObject by name and returns it. I'm gonna copy exactly the same name so I don't make any mistakes. The text type data, aka strings, goes between quotes. So all this instruction in theory should return this GameObject that has the name we're passing it as parameter. Then we can assign this instruction to this variable to keep the reference. For that I write object to find, use the assignment operator, the equal sign, and the find instruction. This should be enough. Look, I enter in the play mode and we see that the object appears in the inspector. So in this case, unlike the previous video, we are assigning the reference at runtime. That is, we assign this variable after the game starts. One thing to keep in mind is that Unity allows us to duplicate the names of the game objects. Look, here I duplicate the object and rename it with exactly the same name as the other. In this case, this instruction is gonna return only one object, the first that it finds. Notice that here, when you click the field in the inspector, this object is highlighted. So this variable is pointing to this object. And another thing is that if we misspell the name, for example we are missing a space or a capital letter, Unity will not be able to find an object with that name, the field won't be assigned, and we will get a null reference error. To end this video, I would like to fix this code a little bit. What we are doing here, writing values inside the function, is called hardcoding. And it is a practice that must be avoided. Imagine that you have a lot of these functions and you start to put data inside, for example numbers inside those functions. In the long run, we end up forgetting where those values were and everything becomes very complicated when we want to make changes. Then to improve this, what we can do is define a string variable, for example let's call it object name, and make it equal to this text. Then we use that variable to call the function. Now we have it a little more organized and we know where the values are, and if we need to modify them, we will know where to go. Let's check that it's still working and we're done.